Welcome to the show today. Today, we're going to be talking about how to choose the best property for you. We have with us Terrence Murray. He is a retired NFL football player turned real estate investor. He founded TM5 Properties in 2010. Terrence has been personally completed over 250 million in sales over the last 10 years. He launched a real estate entrepreneur podcast. And so he's going to share his great insight into real estate and so much more with us. Mr. Terrence, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to be here, and I think we need to update that. We're at almost 950 million, so we're almost at a billion in sales.
Whoa.
So well past the 250. Man, just excited to be here. Want to try to add value where I can, and excited to just get in front of your audience.
That's awesome. So you literally almost triple what the value that we've seen just recent reports that we got a long time ago, probably.
Yeah, that's old. We're almost. I've been tracking a billion for the moment I started my own company. You know, me and my wife started it when we were in our 20s, and I think we're at about 950 million, 960 million. So we're about 30, 40 million away from a billion. So it's a big milestone, and we're excited to get there soon.
Oh, you guys are going to get there real soon. At 900 million, where you guys are going, you're going to get there real soon. Yeah. So why the career in real estate? So once you got through with your football career, what made you get into the real estate career?
The biggest thing I'll tell people and what I was looking for is just something I could be passionate about. You know, I was so passionate about football, and when it was over with and it was time to transition, I just prayed to God, give me something I could be passionate about. And He showed me real estate investing, real estate development, real estate construction, sales. So that's why I just call myself now a real estate entrepreneur. I'm not a builder. I run a building company. I'm not a developer. I have a development company. I'm not a property manager. I have a property management company. So I have all those companies around real estate, but I can't really call myself one or the other. So yeah, man. So it's something that has really given me and afforded me an opportunity to impact a lot of people, including my clients and my staff. And then also inspire other people that are former athletes or people from my background that, man, I can go do that. I can get into that industry and gain success.
That's awesome. So once you kind of gradually got out of the football and you got into this career, now you have built it up to 900 million and you're close to a billion in sales. What have been some of the successful things that work for you in the building process as an entrepreneur in real estate?
I think one of the things I think that overwhelms some people when they hear my story is that I did it all at the same time, and I didn't. You know, I started off as just a passive investor where I was a part of these syndication deals, and I was just a limited partner where I would put some of my money in and watch the deal. So it was my way to learn. And I was learning. And then after a couple of years of doing it, I realized people were learning on my money. So I'm like, well, if somebody's going to learn on my dime, I'm going to make the mistakes on my own dime. And so that's when I started investing into these projects. And, people seeing us buying commercial strip centers, doing apartment complexes, townhomes, developments. But our first investment ourselves was two $78,000 duplexes. And now we ended up slowly piecing together the whole block. But our first deal was $78,000 duplex. So I always tell people, start somewhere. A lot of times people want to start off and they want to go right to a billion in sales. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but you can't do that. Like, it's just not possible. And so get in where you can start, get in where you fit in, and then build your experience and your resume one brick at a time. So one of the things I always train on in my coaching business is the one brick mentality. Nothing can be built on a solid foundation if you throw it together fast. So just do it with a one brick at a time mentality. And then the last thing, so as I got really good at finding deals, then I started understanding construction. As I started understanding construction, then I understand property management, then property management, leasing, then sales. And so what I'm saying is just find your niche and then build it one brick at a time.
That's really awesome. And you did talk about how you start building. So, and I've interviewed so many people in this real estate space, investors alike across the board. And I'd like to get your point of view on what are the tips in approaching leads and existing clients? What are some of the things that you did, how you approached them?
Existing clients?
Yes.
Bringing value. You know, I always tell people, first off, you got to make sure that that first interaction they have with you, they need to see you perform. It's no different in sports, right? If I'm even recruited and then I go to a school or to a team and they in that first practice, they got to see what you got. Like you got to show up and play. And in this industry, it reminds me a lot of sports because it's what have you done for me lately? You can sell $1 million listing today, but by next week, no one cares. So you got to go reprove yourself every week. And that reminds me of like football. You have a great game, and then after that Sunday's over with, next week, nobody cares. And so first off, you got to have a good showing or performance or transaction on that first deal. That's how you create a raving fan, a client. And then you just got to bring value to them throughout the rest of that relationship, whether it's sending them CMAs quarterly, whether it's just touching base with them with handwritten letters. You just got to stay in front of them, stay top of mind, and make sure you're always bringing value to them as a client. And then they will always refer you business. I mean, probably 80% of my business, 90%, 95% of my business is referral based.
Oh wow, that's a pretty big margin. So what advice would you give to clients looking for a property? I know that that sounds like a very simple question, but when you have people that have these complex ideas of what kind of property they want, what is some of the first advice that you kind of target them to kind of more focus on when they're looking for a piece of property?
No, that's good, bro. That's a great question, actually. Yeah, I talk about that on my podcast, but I tell people figure out what the why first. Why the hell are you wanting to buy the property? Like, what's the purpose behind why you want to do it? Once you understand that, that will guide you. That will be your navigating point for the rest of the transaction. Once you know why, then know what. What am I buying? Am I wanting to buy a package of duplexes? Am I wanting to buy a duplex, move in one side, rent out the other? Am I trying to piece together my first 10-unit apartment complex? Am I just trying to buy raw land? Am I trying to buy a new builder home? There's so many things, self-storage, multifamily, commercial. I can go on and on, all the different real estate categories and sectors. And I think a lot of times people mix the two. If I'm trying to buy a home for myself and my family, it's a whole different strategy than if I'm trying to buy a duplex for you and I to move into and be in college and have it as an investment property or whatever. So I think understanding the why, then understanding the what. And then once you get the what, then you create the strategy around it. And the strategy means you got to put together a team of people who've been there and done that. They have a proven track record. I think a lot of times why people get in bad pickles on real estate transactions is they get with people that are learning at the same time that they're learning. Like, don't bring me in as a partner if I don't bring any value to you. If we're both learning at the same time, we need to carry the same amount of risk. So that means if you got $5,000 to put in, I got $5,000, and we both don't know what we're doing, then that makes sense. But if I'm putting up the money in my credit, and then you don't know what you're doing, why would I do that? So, and that's why I see people get in the pickle on real estate is they don't understand the why. They don't understand why they're doing it, what they're doing, and then the whole purpose on the strategy to accomplish it. And that's why I get a lot of emails. I had this deal go wrong, and I'm like, well, you didn't clarify that up front.
That is so true. I have seen a lot of deals go bad in real estate, a ton of them. One of my I told I just actually literally did a podcast with a guy from ACN, and spoke in front of tens of thousands of people, and we was talking about real estate for a while. And I said that's one of the first jobs I had as a finance director working for a real estate developer. Like, I've seen so many bad deals go bad because exactly what you just said. Like, people just don't know the whys, and they just get into it thinking that, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of money, and then don't realize like it's work. It's real work out there you have to do. It don't come easy. And so with you, you say you start out in this passive way. What rush you to go ahead?
Yeah, I want to tap in there. I think that's good for your audience to hear. One of the things too is you got to understand what you're bringing to the table. If you're the money guy, then that other person has to have the hard work, the sweat equity, the knowledge, the spreadsheets, the track record, all those things. If you're the inexperienced person and you have no money, then you got to be the hustler. You got to be the person that says, look, I may not have the experience, but these numbers, I've studied them. I've read a million books. I've listened to a million podcasts. I bird dog this deal. Like, you got to understand what you're bringing to the equation, because remember, every relationship, there needs to be value on both sides. It's a two-way street. And I always tell people, if you don't see the value on it, because when people just go into it looking at the money, you can't build that on, like I said earlier, you can't build that long-term success on sand. And when you're just guessing at it, then that's what's happening. So you're speculating.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. And you know that happens a lot when friends come together and they do deals together and they don't understand the concept of, hey, somebody had to have some weakness and somebody had to have the strength, and those weaknesses and strengths plays on each other so you guys can form a great partnership. And that's how I tell people how to look at any deal. Even when I was in private equity or investment bank, I said the same thing. I know my weakness. I don't like this, but this is my strength. I know how to look for deals, find deals, and negotiate deals, put deals together. I don't like this part. I don't
Yeah.
like this back office part. I like to be in front of the people, shaking hands, kissing babies kind of part. And so when you have that, you got to have the synergy of the knowing the people to be around you to kind of really just find your way. I like how you explained that. A lot of people in real estate don't really explain it that way. They really just get into like the nuts and bolts and go to classes and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the first time I heard that on my podcast, to be honest with you.
Appreciate it, bro. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, because I didn't go the route that most people went. I went the self-taught route, like the hustling route, the just piecing it together, reading the books. You know, I'm not even a big reader, but I read 38 books within the first 16 months trying to figure it out. And the great thing about books, just like the Bible, nobody can skew the truth. If I'm reading it for myself, then it's a direct correlation. Like I'm looking at it with my own eyeballs, and then I can translate it from there on what I'm getting from it. So
That's awesome.
yep.
So what are the important things to know before buying a piece of property? And I know that, you know, we have our, you know, the things that we like about a piece of property and things like that. But what are the important things we need to know before we buy a piece of property?
Yeah, to finish on what I said earlier, this is a great segue. Like, you know, why are you doing it? Who's gonna help you do it? Because you got to put together a team, man. A lender, an inspection person. If you need a surveyor, you need a title company. You need a realtor or a broker. If it's gonna be a remodel or a fix and flip, if you don't understand how to do it yourself, find a contractor who knows what the hell they're doing. And then there's always a time and a place to take risks. Like what I would do is do a couple deals with somebody, like on my team. So like originally, like say I did a block of houses, I would have a leasing agent do it for me, watch them. And then if I feel like I could do it better, then I will replace them and do it myself, right? So you can slowly kind of gain the knowledge on your own dime because you don't want people learning on your money. But at the same time, you got to know. So what would you need to figure out when you're trying to buy a property? You got to understand, once again, is it an investment or is it a home? Because if it's a home that you're living in, debt to income ratios, what your mortgage payments are going to be, what the holding, what is it going to cost, holding costs, you know, all those things matter, right? But if it's an investment property, it's different. You got to look at it from what's my multiple on my cash, right? So how long is it going to take me to get my money back? What's my cash flow? What's my return on investment? How much leverage can I put down? Leverage is like loan to value. So if I have $100,000 property and I put down 10,000, then that's a 90-10 LTV. That means I'm putting down 10%. I'm getting debt on the 90%. So you want to understand LTV. You want to understand how to stress test it. I want to stress test a property because that means if the market gets tough, can my property still cash flow with lower rents? All those things matter when you're looking at evaluating a property. And then what's your long-term goal? Am I going to try to pay this property off and just have straight cash flow? Or am I going to try to hold it for 5 years, refinance it, take that equity and put it into something else? That's the thing about real estate on why people get hung up, because they don't have a clear strategy on what they're trying to accomplish. And they're trying to, I'm going to do what Terrence is doing. Then I'm going to do what this person is doing. And they're trying to piece together too many things, which is why I always tell people, you got to get the knowledge for yourself. Then you're not depending on other people to regurgitate what you need to do.
That's true. That's so true. So you do. So I think earlier in the conversation you said that you do different classes, master classes, seminars. Are you currently doing that now via Zoom, or are you just kind of just throwing out that wealth of knowledge through your podcast?
Right now, I'm throwing it out through the podcast. That was my first effort to start reaching my community and reaching people who have reached out to me. I tell this story a lot because it's what really inspired me. I put up a post a couple years ago because my wife was telling me I need to do a better job of celebrating, and I'm not good at that. And we posted that we bought a Starbucks Buffalo Wild Wings, and I think because we can put it on in a couple other articles, and it ended up going viral. I think it had like 1 million shares. those people didn't know how to find me because I didn't have my contact information on there. But over time, as people start figuring it out, they're like, Tom, I think that's the dude. And they started messaging me on Instagram and stuff. And I didn't have anywhere to point them. I didn't have a book. I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have a blog, you know, and that's when I say, you know what, let me start the podcast. Then I'm going to start the coaching business. Then I'm going to start the master class, and all those things are coming. So podcast is out. It's doing really well. And then working on the book and the coaching business soon.
So my last question to you is, how can we find you?
Yeah, man. TerrenceMurphy.com. Just TerrenceMurphy.com. You can always contact me on there and see what I'm doing. Instagram is just Terrence Realtor. So just Terrence Realtor. But TerrenceMurphy.com, Terrence Realtor, TM5 Properties.com. Those are probably the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Thank you, Terrence, for joining us. I appreciate it, my brother.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thanks for bringing me on.
All right, and that's IBS.